Okay, so we are nearing the end of our factoring trinomials little marathon here. This is part 3. Um, and it's kind of more like a summation review of the last two. Remember, the first thing I always ask you to do when you have a trinomial is see if you can factor out a GCF. And now most of the examples, except for the last one in the last video, you couldn't factor out a GCF. Let's take a look at this one though. Could we? Look at that. Yes, we can. 2, 10, 8. I can factor out something. We can pull out a 2. When you pull out a 2, you're left with x squared. Now, when you pull out a 2 from a negative number, it might be helpful to think, what times 2 gives you negative 10? And it's negative 5. Forget the x. And then when you pull a 2 out of there, we get positive 4. Okay, now like I had told you in the previous video, last example, when you've pulled out a GCF and you're left with a trinomial, like that, just ignore the 2 in the bracket for now. We'll come back to them later. At the last step, make sure you include them. Okay, so now we have a trinomial like this. This trinomial gives us options. We can do this the easy way or the grouping way, because there's no number in front anymore. When there's no number in front, you can do it the easy way. And just to refresh your memory how to do the easy way, you set up your brackets. We look at the number here, 4. So it's 4. What numbers give us 4? 1 and times 4. 2 times 2. Which of these add to give us negative 5? Well, to give us negative 5 and multiply to give us positive 4, that means that both the factors have to be negative, because a negative times a negative gives you a positive 4. This won't work. 1 and 4 will. Negative 1, negative 4. You're down 1, you're down 4, you'll be down 5. That's going to work. So I can split up my x's and put negative 1 here, negative 4 there. So the easy way, the first way, whatever you want to call it, works. Are we done? No, we're not. Don't forget the 2 in front. So you might want to, look, when you're doing this, just draw a little arrow down to remind yourself, oh, I can't forget the 2, I can't forget the 2 during the whole time. That's your answer. If you were going to go from here to there and check your answer, you could first factor out this 2 and then FOIL out whatever you get, or you can FOIL here and then times by 2. Either way, you can double check by getting that. Alright, this one here. At first instinct, you're probably thinking, oh, I gotta use the old method, but wait, is there a GCF? And yes, there is. 5 is the greatest common factor. Always look to do that first. Even though most questions probably don't have a GCF, if you don't pull out the GCF, you're gonna run into problems. So what is the GCF between all these guys? 5. 5 is what you can pull out of there to give you with x squared. What times 5 gives you negative 15x? Negative 3x. What times 5 gives you negative 20? Negative 4. Leave the 5 for now, we'll come back to it later. There's our trinomial, and look, we can do the easy method because there's nothing in front. So, let's put our brackets. They have to multiply to give us negative 4. There's your factors of 4. Which combo is going to give you negative 3? Well, that one won't. This one will. It has to be multiplied to give me negative 4, so that means one of these has to be negative. They have to add to give me negative 3. That means the bigger number has to be negative. So 1 minus 4, negative 3. So I'm going to put first split up the x's. X plus 1 minus 4. Don't forget the 5 in front. There you go. So, how about this? Is there a GCF here? Yes, there is. Wow, we're in a roll with these GCFs. First, we didn't have any of them. Now we do. Okay, so what's the GCF between 18, 22, and 4? Well, only 2 is the only number I can pull out. I pull out a 2. I'm left with, what times 2 gives me 18? 9x squared. What times 2 gives me 22? 11x. What times 2 gives me that? 2. Oh, you know what? Now I can't use the easy way because I'm left with a number in front, and that cannot be factored in this trinomial. So now I have to do the grouping method, which, remember, is you take the first term, the second term, you multiply them, 18, do your common factors, 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Which combination gives me positive 11? Not that one, not that one, that one will. I'll rewrite it. I'll write the 2 out later. 9x squared. But just in case I don't forget, I'm going to put a little arrow down the side just to remind me. 9x squared, we rewrite 11x as plus 2x plus 9x, and then bring down the plus 2. Treat this as a group, treat that as a group. What can I pull out of here? An x. X goes into there 9 times, and an x left over. X goes into here with a 2. What can I pull out of 9x plus 2? Well, don't forget, we put the arrow down to remind me of the 2 I need to have. What can I pull out of 9x and 2? Well, nothing, really, other than a 1. So you do it. You pull out a 1. Plus, pull out a 1. When you pull a 1 out of here, obviously it's just 9x, and same thing here, plus 2. And what are you left with? The common factor is 9x plus 2. They both have a 9x plus 2, so we pull that out. And you're left with x plus 1, but don't forget the 2. There's your final answer. All right. How about this one here? Hey, guess what? It's another common factor we have. Let's factor it out. So again, you always got to check, is there a common factor? What goes into 8, 22, and 12? Nothing much. Looks like just 2 does. So we pull out a 2. 2 goes into there, 4x squared times. 2 goes into there. What times 2 gives you negative 22? Negative 11x. 2 times what gives me 12? Positive 6. And we're left with the trinomial with a number in front, which means we got to do the grouping method. In the grouping method, 4 times 6, 24. Let's look at the combinations. 1, 24, 2, 12, 3, 8, 4, 6. You know, I don't have to go any further. I know that combination is going to work. But it has to give me negative 11. Multiply to 24, has to multiply to 24, add to negative 11. Well, that means if I'm going to get a negative sign at the end, multiply to give me 24 positive, that means it has to be a negative times a negative. So I rewrite it. I'll remember the 2. And when you're left with 4x squared, rewriting this with those 2, I'm left with negative 3x minus 8x plus 6. Let's group this pair, group that pair. What can I pull out of here? Just an x. X times what gives me 4x squared? 4x. X times what gives me negative 3x? Negative 3. What can I pull out of here? Well, there's the minus sign. Let's leave that there. What can I pull out of 8 and 6? A 2. 2 goes into both those numbers. 2 goes into there 4 times with an x left over. What times negative 2 gives me positive 6? Negative 3 does. What's my common factor? 4x minus 3. They both have that. And I'm left with x and a minus 2. Just to let you know, when you're doing these grouping things, if you haven't noticed, it almost, by coincidence, you almost end up getting the same binomial in both cases. If you don't, you have a positive and negative sign mix-up, then you know you made a mistake. Go backwards, you'll fix it. I will rarely give you a question where you cannot factor it. but I didn't say never, did I? Rarely. And so we're done. Oh, no, we're not. I see. We got to remember to bring down that 2. There we go. And here are the skill testing questions. Good luck. Bye-bye.